Ever wondered if the social and emotional skills your kids might have learned in traditional school are lacking in your homeschool? Well, maybe that's why you clicked on this video. Hey, you amazing parent. It's a great sign that you're even here. You showed up. Great job. I promise you that this chat with Kim is going to give you a bit of a blueprint as to the areas all kids actually need support and practice in regarding these foundational skills of social and emotional learning. So I am so grateful to have Kim here today from Free the Mind Co. Kim, thank you so much for being here. You have so much experience throughout the years with kids and teens. And I want to start off with a little bit of a story with you. Let's start off with where we're coming to the table from. Could you tell me a little bit about an experience that you had as a kid that informed the way that you think about teaching social and emotional skills?
Well, yes, my whole childhood was a story. I had quite a traumatic childhood, a lot of loss, a lot of disconnect, a lot of all of that stuff. And also came from a very academic family, so very successful academically, the professors, the doctors, all of that. And emotionally, so totally at a loss. And they really didn't know what to do with me as a kid. And I realized these adults don't know what to do. So best as a child, I get with the program and create my own knowledge and wisdom as to how to live life and navigate it. And so it really was kind of like a job that was happening every day through my childhood. And I realized as well, and all the research then later backed it up, is that if you have these skills, then you cope with life in a way more meaningful, happy way, and you're more successful, whether that be at school or in your career. And so I had this dichotomy of experiences of you have all this academic and yet the emotional side is so lacking. And then I obviously had my children and my career was building, and that became even more and more important. And that's why I realized that if you teach children these skills at an early age, they have the tools for the rest of their lives. And we all know life is challenging, right? It doesn't matter who you are or where you come from. Life throws us things from left field and right field and all over the bloody place. And yes, if you have skills and tools, both as parents and as children, you navigate it in a little smoother way.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's a really well said, because obviously, even if we have these skills, the road is likely going to be bumpy any way you put it. And so just the fact that we have this toolbox with us makes it a little bit easier to navigate. I love that. So thank you for sharing that. That's really important. Let's take a trip down social emotional learning. Now, SEL, we're going to kind of throw that term around here, but that's what it means. It's social and emotional learning, learning to kind of deal with our feelings, regulate our emotions, figure out stress, figure out, relationships, how we might navigate our relationships as well. So let's take a little bit of a trip down typical counseling and SEL learning lane in public skills. You've seen this taught. How is this usually taught?
So I wanted to backtrack a little because, titles change and names change. And sometimes the old ones describe it even better. So SEL, social emotional learning, actually used to be called life skills.
Yeah.
And for me, life skills says it.
Yeah.
What skills do you need to live life? It's just basic. So it's no big therapy kind of thing that people think it is. It's simply giving the skills and tools how to navigate everyday life. We really believe that linked to that is well-being and wellness. And especially, COVID threw us a completely different world. And the world is still trying to grapple with it, because I remember at the beginning of COVID, everyone kept saying, I can't wait to go back to what was normal. And if you've noticed, no one says that anymore, because that doesn't exist. So wellness and well-being has really had a spotlight on it. And I'm super happy about that. because I think everyone was so focused on pushing their kids academically, and you've got to do this and you've got to do that, and you've got to go down this path or that path. And, little kids trying to get into the top colleges at 5, 6 years old, which is crazy.
Insane.
We need our children to be kids, because as kids, they're going to learn those skills and tools, and they will find their way, especially with the homeschooling community. Everyone that I've met, they are so committed and they're so nurturing and so loving. That will happen.
Mm-hmm.
So it is not therapy. Social emotional learning and well-being is not therapy. It's learning about your emotions. It's normalizing emotions, which is so important. There's no good or bad emotion. It just tells you where you're at that certain specific time in your day, in your life, so that you know what to address and what to do about it.
Exactly.
And it gives you the skills and tools. So it's understanding yourself better. It's about going into your own being and understanding, who am I? How do I respond? How do I react? What do I like? What don't I like? And really getting to know yourself, because we get to know everyone else. We get to know our friends. We get to know our families. We get to know society. But how much time do we actually spend getting to know ourselves? And how can you not know yourself? Because if you don't know yourself, you can't navigate your life properly, because you're on that journey, and your friends and family are not going to be there when you open your eyes in the morning or close them at night. You've got yourself. So best you get to know yourself in the best way possible.
Absolutely. I love that. And I think there's so much that you said that right there. But I want to backtrack and kind of latch onto that, because that well-being is the thing that is going to, not get your kid into med school, get your kid into the top college, right? That type of thing. Sure. There's a value on that, and that's important in its own right. But there are other things. And I want to tell a quick little anecdote that somebody told me early on. I cannot remember for the life of me who said this, but somebody said, "What do you want to hear your future son or daughter-in-law say about why they married your child?" I was like, they're not going to say that they were a state champ. They're not going to say that they got straight A's. They're not going to say that they got a 5 on their AP exams, right? They're going to say, we would hope they would say, their generosity, their kindness, their ability to cope in healthy ways. Oh my gosh, that's what I want. And so, sure, we'll do all the math. Sure, we'll do all the writing. But these are the skills that are going to be that wellness, that baseline, that are going to set them up to excel in other ways. And so I love that you're bringing that forward.
And to add to that, Melissa, sorry to interrupt for a second. I've got 2 adult children. One's 33, one's 37.
Mm-hmm.
And they both successful in their own right and what they've done. And I always say to them, I'm not proud of your title. I'm proud of what you did to get to there. I'm proud of your tenacity, of your resilience, of your communication, all of the other stuff. The titles are going to come and go, but the skills and your characteristics, that stays forever.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that. Well, and it is really cool. I love hearing from, and I'll probably link a card here, but from homeschoolers that have graduated through. I had an interview with 2 sisters who graduated and are now doing their own things, 20 somethings, but they're cool people. You're just like, heck yeah, I love that. And so I love seeing when these young adults come out with awesome, character. And that's what we're looking for. So let's backtrack a little bit. So we set the stage, you guys. This is what we're talking about. And hopefully you're still with us, because you've already got your math curriculum for next year. You've already got your language arts curriculum. Talk to us a little bit about the things that are taught in SEL and, let's call it life skills in this case. Some days also define life skills in 2024 would be things like cooking and sewing and fixing the car and doing things like that, right? So that's where you might hear those terms now. I also think this is a life skill. This is probably the life skill. And so figuring out what this looks like in terms of a curriculum. What are kids learning in SEL and life skills curriculums?
So at schools, what is very important in a school is building positive community and school culture,
Hmm.
which obviously you don't have in a necessarily in a home environment. And yet it also mirrors that because you do want a positive environment at home.
Mm-hmm.
So that comes with a whole other set of focus of how do you get along, relationship building, how do you deal with conflict resolution. We have a group that we work with, and they've got teens, and they were a group of boys. And what ended up happening after they did our program, the leaders were saying to us, it was incredible because one of the boys who was really very kind of aggressive before
Yeah.
turned around and said, "I'm sorry, I shouldn't have done that."
Oh.
And it was such an aha moment because he got it that his aggression wasn't going to work in the best way possible for him in relationship building. And so it's those kinds of skills and understanding of how do you work with other people and how do you communicate with other people. So that's very, very important in a school because when you've got children disrupting the classroom, the teachers can't teach.
Yeah.
So they spend more time disciplining instead of teaching. So obviously the focus within a school environment is different to what you're going to have in a homeschool environment.
Mm-hmm.
In a homeschool environment, as with a school, is self-regulation.
Mm-hmm.
So emotional regulation is very important because that is not only good for your relationship building, it's also very, very important for yourself. As you know, when we get angry or when we lash out, we feel so bad afterwards. We really do. And you can't take it back. And it takes you time. There's guilt afterwards. And that's not only with adults, it's with children as well.
Mm-hmm.
Then it's like, I'm sorry. And so if there's a pause, I love the pause. If you can teach children as well as adults, the pause where you stop and you take a breath and go, how do I need to respond? What's going on inside my body?
Mm-hmm.
Where's this coming from? Then you take a breath and then you respond because then you don't get that lash. And so these are the skills that are needed and that everyone's trying to teach right now.
Right. And Kim, I've taught my kids that before. We've said, hey, let's just take a deep breath before we respond. But I have to tell you, and you guys, my kids, spoiler alert, my kids have been using Free the Mind Co., Freeing Freddie, for a couple months now. Okay. And I mentioned to one of my kids, hey, I'm going to talk to Miss Kim today. Remember? And they know your voice because your voice is in Freeing Freddie. And so I said, do you want me to mention anything to her? And she goes, yeah, well, it's more for you. But like, you know how recently I've been saying, can you just step away from me for a minute? Can you just give me some space for a minute? And I said, yeah. And she goes, well, it's because I know I'm going to get really angry. And so I just need you to step away from me so that I can not say something mean and not get to that point where I'm going to be angry at you. And I was like, look at you. All right. Talked about this before, but like only in the last couple of weeks has this kind of come out. I'm like, that's cool how she's doing that. I wonder where that came from. It's not this. So you guys,
thank you for that.
Absolutely. But I think one of the most important, like ingrained things here is that they are learning it through a story. Right.
Yes.
And so it's super easy. We do this in our lives, right? We watch movies, we're fans of books. Like we see ourselves in these characters, and our kids see themselves in these characters that you guys have put together with Free the Mind Co. and Freeing Freddie. And so I love seeing this kind of come to fruition in our homeschool. But what I do want to kind of bring up here is what this can look like for families, because as I mentioned, there's a little bit of a shift that we need to think about. We've probably already got our math curriculum set. We've got our language arts curriculum set. Are you going to take a look at something like this to help support your child in their homeschooling journey, but more so in their life? And so I want to also do a little bit of an anecdote here because, as I mentioned, we've been using this for a while. I shared it with another friend who happened to be a counselor. And she said, oh, you know what? That's really great. I'm really glad that they've got something like that, because then if kids had those skills, they probably wouldn't end up in my office as an adult. That's another one of those like punch in the gut moments of like, yep, this is actually really important. So however many of those you need to receive today, I'm going to give to you, because this is just a gift of our curriculum that I want you guys to consider. So if it weren't abundantly clear, why else, maybe some stories from your end, Kim, why else should we be considering an SEL or social emotional learning curriculum? Why do you think this is also important to include in a homeschool curriculum?
I'm going to give you a personal and a research point here. So as a kid going through so much trauma, I always say to people, if you go back to when you were 10 or 12 years old, and someone had told you those overwhelming emotions you were feeling were normal, and they gave you some skills to deal with them, how might your life be different now as an adult? I can tell you my life would have been very, very different. It would still be very, very different, because I still hold so much anxiety that I had as a kid that now I've got the skills and tools to work through and understand. But at the same time, I know that if it was dealt with then I would be different now. That's just one aspect. So that's a personal reference. As a research professional side, all the research is pointing to the fact that when children have these skills, these life skills, these SEL well-being skills, their academics go up considerably. And so what I want your listeners to understand, you're not doing this just from an emotional perspective. Yes, it's very important, and we get that, right? But you're also doing it because you want your kids to do better academically, because that's why you're homeschooling them, right? Okay. So you want them to have this as a holistic aspect within their lives so that they can do better and be better in all different areas of their lives, whether it be relationships, whether it be academic, whether it be off to college or in their career, because in their career, they're going to need executive functioning. And this will give them the skills in order to do that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I really want to break the myth of saying that SEL and well-being is simply an emotional thing. It's not. It's everything, because it's life. And when you have this, you will succeed and do better in all areas of your life.
Yeah, absolutely. And you guys, there's so much that's covered, and we're just going to jump into Freeing Freddie right now, which is something that you guys will find. It's all linked down below, but let's go ahead and jump into Freeing Freddie, because all of these areas that you've just talked about are included in this gorgeous curriculum. So just so you guys know who are listening, my kids have already been doing this for a couple months now. Just for reference, they are 4, 6, 9, and 10 right now, and they are doing it as part of their schoolwork. Now, I don't make them do it every day. They choose to do it every day. If we don't get to it every day, it's not a big deal. But the cool part is that it's totally it's something that they can do on their own. I don't have to sit and walk through this thing with them. I can check on what they've done. I can see what they've written and share and talk with them about it. But this is something that they get to kind of take on their own. So talk to us about some of the areas that Freeing Freddie includes.
Well, first of all, to your point, it's story-based. And everyone, including you and me and everyone who's watching this, has a story from their childhood that they remember. Because children learn through stories. They learn through characters. And if you can scroll, Melissa, I want to get to one of the pictures. There's Freddie. The illustrations have been done by an animator illustrator. And it's Freddie and all his friends in the magical rainforest. And it's just beautiful. And so the children relate to the characters as well. There is Brent. As you scrolled, he wrote the stories. He's one of our partners. he also happens to be my son.
It's true.
So, he's been involved with my work for 33 years and wrote these beautiful books, and that's what Freddie is based on. So it touches on not only the story where you follow Freddie, that makes sense because all other programs that we know are very silo-based. So today you're going to learn empathy, and tomorrow you're going to learn forgiveness and all of that. This is not that. This, they follow Freddie's journey, and it's magical and it's wonderful. And they learn, first of all, to normalize what are their emotions? How does their emotions work? What do you do about it? So there we go, you have it. Anxiety, releasing it, understanding it, normalizing everything, becoming more self-aware, creativity and imagination. So that's a very important one that people don't generally think of, because what they've found is that it's very lacking right now in children because they don't play enough. So they on tech all the time. They're not building. So when we built this program, we really focused a lot on creativity and imagination. Resiliency. Children today are not as resilient as past because as parents, all of us want to protect our children from this crazy world right now. So being resilient, we teach within the program in a beautiful way so that they do understand, what does it mean to be resilient? So if you don't get to the exact goal that you want, how do you deal with that? What do you do about it? And then the other aspects that are very important are gratitude, compassion, empathy, and forgiveness. And we all need those. Gratitude is a big, big, big one for us.
And if it's not clear already, this is a beautifully made program. And I mentioned that from the littles to the bigs, my kids are using this. The littlest one is not quite reading yet, and she still does this on her own. How does she get the directions? Because there are audio buttons. Oh my gosh. I love that. She quickly caught on, hey, if I click this little speaker, it's going to read the instructions to me. Everything has an audio button. So this is something that even the littles can do up to the bigs. So
and
I love
platforms. There are two platforms, so 5 to 8 years old and 9 to 12 years old. So they do progress, and obviously it becomes, more age appropriate as they get older.
Right. And there are activities in each of these kind of journeys that they go on. These adventures are organized, and the kids tend to remember, oh yeah, I'm on 6 today. And so they'll get excited about heading off to adventure 6. But inside those adventures, there's a part of the story that they get to read through. There is usually some sort of creative kind of activity. We've made brave masks before, printed those out. And, they do get to express themselves, and there's so much interaction there. And there's a journaling piece that if they want to kind of reflect and write stuff out, they totally can. Sometimes my kids choose to, and sometimes they don't, and that's fine too. And so there's just so much involved in here. So I'm grateful for this. Are there any of the tools that you kind of want to point out in here? I'm thinking like rainbow breathing, anything else that you want to kind of point out?
So I love the rainbow breathing. So what they do is that, for your listeners, they build rainbows, both online and offline. And then they learn to breathe across the rainbow. So there are, there's all these different kinds of techniques. I love the bobbing barrels and the brave mask, as you said, the bobbing barrels. In their imagination, they think of putting, we talk about pleasant and unpleasant emotions, and we teach them how to shift their mindset. So for instance, what your one child did about give me space, just let me calm down a little, as well as, understanding how to communicate. And with the bobbing barrels, they put their unpleasant emotions, and then it floats down the river in their mind. And so that's a beautiful imagery. We use metaphors a lot within this, so that they have that in their minds, and they can do that anytime. They just see it in their minds, and off the little bobbing barrels go with their unpleasant feelings. You know,
Yeah.
we teach them all of those kinds of skills and tools. The one aspect that I do want to bring up is, yes, we talk a lot about the fear, the anxiety, but also about dreams.
Mm-hmm.
And the last part, the whole last chapter is all about dreams. And again, the research has shown that children are not dreaming as they used to. And that for me is very sad, because we should all have a dream, no matter the age.
Mm-hmm.
And so we encourage children to dream. And what are your dreams? And what can you do in the world? Because we have a concept called we are. And we are is, how do you impact the world at large? Even though you're small, you can impact your family, you can impact your community, etc. And so the last chapter is all about dreaming. And we say to them, and it's really cute because it's all done through animation as well, is that a dream is not when you sleep at night and you have to take action. And there's a whole aspect where it teaches them, what action do you want to take in order to build your dream? So it's very practical as well as very magical.
Yeah. That's a very good way of putting it. It's practical, it's magical, it's fun, it captures their attention. So I love it, if it's not yet abundantly clear. But I want you guys to try this. I want you guys to check it out. If you'd like to check out Freeing Freddie, all that is below. There are other Free the Mind Co. tools in there as well. There are just the books, which are also available in Spanish, which is really fun. And you can head to the link in the description. And we've got a special little discount. You guys know I'm here for you. So if you use code Melissa10, head to the discount, use that in your sign up, and you'll get a 10% discount on this for your 12-month membership. So I'm really excited about it. Kim, is there anything we've missed? We covered a lot here. Anything we've missed?
Yes, because Brent has written 3 books.
Yeah.
And so this is the first of 3 programs, which is very exciting. And each one comes with beautiful little characters. So in the first one with Freeing Freddie, you've got Mr. Cotton, who's the wise spider. The second one is Professor Honey, the bee, and it's gorgeous. It takes place in a hive. It's all around unity and, you know, what do we bring individually as our special gifts? So it's all very exciting. Thank you, Melissa. Yes, that's the second one. And then the third one is under wraps still now, but it's gorgeous. And it's with his little friend Luna, and she is totally adorable.
Oh my gosh, I love it. All right, well, I'm here for the books. I love it. And you guys can, again, follow the link there and pick up whatever suits you at the moment. Again, every family is doing what they need to do. And we are excited for you to get your hands on these materials however you need to.
And we love hearing from people. So please follow us on social media, Free the Mind Co. And give us your comments. We learn from you as much as you learn from us, hopefully. And that's how we collaborate.
Yeah, exactly. I love it. Well, Kim, as we wrap up, speaking of dreaming, what's exciting for you in the next 6 months or so? I know you've got some very fun personal things happening. Feel free to share about those and any professional things going on. What are you looking forward to in the next couple months?
Well, I told a little munchkin last night that she's the most important thing in the whole family right now. My daughter gave us our first granddaughter, and her name is Sloan, and she is 2 weeks old and totally adorable. So my heart just melts. I'm a puddle every time I walk into her. And so that's our latest news. And then, yes, we're just so excited to spread this and work with so many more and get the second program out there and connect to all of you. We're here to support you. So please, you know, buy the program, you know, and reach out to us and let us know what you want. There's as Melissa said, there are other options. There's a family program as well that's wonderful to do as a family around your dinner table.
Yeah. And I actually think this would be great for homeschool co-ops too. A lot of co-ops could totally use a program like this. And you could be homeschool co-op member when they call upon you to give your lesson. These could be your lessons. So that's kind of a fun idea as well.
And just to mention lastly, this is not an elitist product. We've always wanted to keep it really, really reasonable our main mission is to support children and families to make a better, happier world. So it's not about the buck for us. It's really about supporting and really helping as many kids as we possibly can.
Yeah, you guys, I believe that. Go read up on Kim and Brent and the whole Free the Mind team, Free the Mind Co team. Again, link down below. They've got an amazing story, and what they're building is really beautiful. So, Kim, thank you for allowing me to be a part of this. I feel really honored to get to see what you guys are building. And to those of you who are watching, thank you. If nobody's told you yet today, thank you for doing what you're doing. It's really important. Happy teaching, guys.